A brand new week begins, and with it comes that familiar buzz. The return of Celtic to competitive action. Sunday afternoon is the big day. Celtic Park will once again be packed as we welcome St Mirren for our opening fixture in the Scottish Premiership. It's Flag Day, a tradition soaked in symbolism, where the champions of the previous season raised the league flag before getting down to the business of defending their crown. It's the kind of occasion that stirs up pride and anticipation all at once. A celebration of what was achieved and the start of a new mission. This week will be all about building up to that moment. There's excitement in the air already. And as the days pass, we'll gradually feel the momentum gathering. But that's not all. It's also shaping up to be a busy week behind the scenes, with transfer movement bubbling away and a few interesting subplots already taking form. There's chatter about new arrivals, updates on players we've been chasing, and of course the ever-complicated fixture planning that comes with a packed calendar. So let's get into it. First up, we need to talk about the Premier Sports Cup. The draw for the last 16 took place over the weekend, and Celtic will once again be playing at home, this time against Falkirk. Now that might sound like just another draw, but here's where it gets wild. That is now the 7th consecutive cup tie that Celtic have been drawn to play at Celtic Park. Let that sink in. 7 home draws in a row, stretching back to the Scottish Cup quarter-final against Livingston 2 seasons ago, through all 5 domestic cup ties last season. And now this latest one. Statisticians out there reckon the odds of that happening are less than 1%. We're talking freak event territory. Regardless of odds, though, it's a welcome advantage. We've built a fortress at Parkhead, and the team thrives in front of the home crowd. The tie against Falkirk is scheduled for the weekend of the 16th and 17th of August. But there's a decent chance that match could be shifted to the Friday night. Why? Well, it's all to do with the potential Champions League playoff matches for both ourselves and Rangers. If one of those ties needs to be played on the Tuesday, that effectively rules out the Sunday for a domestic cup fixture, especially when both clubs are drawn to play at home. In that case, Friday becomes the most logical window, and early signs suggest we might be the ones moved. No confirmation yet, but announcements from the league are expected later this week. Whatever night it ends up being, it's a tie Celtic will be fully expected to win. No disrespect to Falkirk, but anything less than a convincing performance would raise eyebrows. The expectation is simple progress. Now onto transfer business. Let's start with Jack Abraham, a name that popped up last week and continues to make headlines. The midfielder from Go Ahead Eagles has caught the attention of Celtic's recruitment team, and the club has already submitted 3 formal offers for him. The initial bid was around £1.5 million, which was quickly knocked back. Celtic then came back with an improved offer, reportedly £1.75 million plus add-ins. And when that wasn't enough, they pushed again with a third bid in the region of £3 million. Still, the Dutch club held firm and rejected it. From their perspective, they've set a valuation of around £6.5 million, and they're not budging. And you know what, that might sound steep on paper, but it's not outrageous when you take a proper look at the player. Abraham is only 21, already capped at under 21 level for Denmark, and had a solid campaign last season, scoring 10 goals in the Eredivisie. That kind of production from midfield, and he's not even an out-and-out forward, is hard to ignore. In today's market, that sort of profile can command a healthy price tag, especially for a club like Go Ahead Eagles, who know what they've got on their hands. Celtic's persistence with 3 bids suggests genuine interest. This isn't just a name floated by agents. The club clearly sees potential in Abraham. Whether or not they'll be willing to meet that £6.5 million valuation remains to be seen. But if the player is really a target, and if Brendan Rodgers sees him fitting into the system, then at some point you either walk away or go all in. And with the midfield still feeling like an area where we could use another spark, this one feels like it's worth pursuing, especially considering the player's age, versatility, and knack for arriving in the box at the right moment. Now, shifting the focus to the backline, and this is where things get a bit more unexpected, and honestly quite interesting. The name Jamai Simpson-Pusey, that's right, a 19-year-old centre-back currently on the books at Manchester City. Reports suggest Celtic have made a move to bring him in on loan, and while that's already sparked a fair bit of discussion online, with the usual mix of excitement and skepticism, let's break down why this could actually be a very smart move. First off, Simpson-Pusey is no ordinary academy product. He captained City's under-21 side last season and was named Premier League Player of the Year, becoming the first defender ever to win that award. That's no small feat. Past winners of that honor include names like Rice Nelson, Curtis Jones, and Liam Delap. Not all of them have exploded into superstardom, but there's a clear pattern. You don't get that kind of recognition without having serious quality. Simpson Pusey also saw some first-team action last season. You might remember that rocky spell Manchester City had between October and December. A rare blip in their usually flawless form, marked by injuries and poor results. It was during that chaotic stretch that he was thrown into the deep end, most notably starting in a Champions League match away to Sporting, which City ended up losing 4-1. A rough night, no doubt, but considering it was his debut and he wasn't directly at fault for the goals, he actually came out of it with a decent amount of credit. He also featured in that preseason friendly against Celtic in the States, the one that ended 4-3 in our favor. He played most of that match on the right side of central defense, and didn't really put a foot wrong even as we scored some brilliant goals that night. Across all competitions, he made around 6 appearances for the senior squad last season, including domestic cup matches and cameos in the league. Not bad at all for a teenager trying to break into one of the most stacked teams in world football. So what kind of player is he? Well, the modern type, to put it simply. Comfortable with the ball at his feet, composed under pressure, quick, strong, and more than capable of stepping into midfield with the ball. Shades of Virgil van Dijk in that regard. Of course, we're not making direct comparisons here. Van Dijk is one of the world's best, but Simpson Pusey has that same swagger and control in his movement. He looks like someone who's too good for youth football and ready for the next challenge. The only thing he lacks is experience. From Celtic's point of view, the key question becomes, is this loan going to include an option to buy? Because that's a deal breaker for many fans. Celtic have moved away from developing other clubs' players for nothing. Think about the likes of Paulo Bernardo or Cameron Carter-Vickers. Both arrived initially on loan, but crucially with the option to make it permanent. That changes the conversation entirely. If there's a clear pathway to keep Simpson Pusey beyond this season, this becomes a very attractive deal. But if it's just a straight loan with no buy clause, then the debate is valid. Does it make sense to hand a valuable development role to someone we won't benefit from long term? There's a case for and against, and that debate is playing out in real time among the supporters. That said, the raw potential is clearly there, and when you consider past deals with City's academy, Patrick Roberts, Jeremy Frimpong, even Jason Denayer back in the day, the track record is promising. Simpson Pusey could follow that path. And even if he's unproven at senior level, the idea of pairing him with someone like Cameron Carter-Vickers is exciting. A blend of youth and experience, ball-playing ability and physicality. It could be the kind of signing that transforms not just the defense, but the way the team builds from the back. He's already spoken in interviews about wanting regular first-team football and feeling like he's done all he can at under 21 level. That hunger, that drive to play, that's exactly what you want in a young defender coming in. And let's be honest, you don't get appearances for Manchester City's senior team under Pep Guardiola unless you're doing something right. The bar there is unbelievably high. So while a loan might not be the dream scenario, it might just be the smartest move available right now, especially if there's a long-term option attached. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about Shin Yamada. The young Japanese striker is settling into life at Celtic, and there have been a few interesting comments from him in the media over the weekend that caught people's attention. First off, he's already been working on his English even before arriving in Glasgow, and he said he wants to keep improving on that front. That kind of attitude, the willingness to adapt and integrate, always helps a player make a smoother transition, especially when moving to a completely new environment like Scotland. In terms of who he's connecting with early on, it seems Rio Hadid has become a key figure in his adjustment. The two share a background with Kawasaki Frontale, although it's unclear if they actually played together at the same time. Yamada was just returning from university football when Hadid made his move abroad, so they might have just missed each other. Still, the bond is there. Same club roots, same cultural background, and a mutual understanding of what it means to take the leap from Japan to Europe. Yamada even reached out to Hadid before the move to ask about Celtic and life in Glasgow, which tells you how much he values that connection. He's also spoken positively about the other Japanese players in the squad, Daisen Maeda and Hayato. Having for Japanese players in the team again is a huge boost, not just for the players individually, but also for the club culture as a whole. It creates a small community within the squad, a support system that can help players thrive both on and off the pitch. But perhaps the most intriguing part of his interview came when he was asked about comparisons with Kyogo. Now, whenever Celtic signs a Japanese striker, that parallel is going to be made. It's inevitable. Both players are mobile, quick, and technically sharp. But Yamada was keen to point out his own strengths. When asked how he differs from Kyogo, his answer was simple: speed and power. Now there may be a bit lost in translation there. Language barriers and interpretations can muddy things, but still the message is clear. He sees himself as a more physical option, someone who can combine pace with strength and offer a different kind of threat up top. Kyogo, of course, was known for his sharp movement, his ability to dart in behind defenses and find space in the box. If Yamada can bring that same energy, but add a bit more muscle and direct running to his game, then Celtic could have a very interesting forward on their hands. From what we've seen so far, the signs are positive. He's looked sharp in training, and while he's still finding his feet, there's hope that he could become a key figure in the squad sooner rather than later. The immediate question is whether he'll be the number 2 striker behind Adam Ida, assuming Ida starts on Sunday. The other option is Johnny Kenny, who's also had a decent preseason, but all eyes will be on who Brendan Rodgers chooses to back as the main alternative in that role. Having options is a luxury, and with domestic campaigns and European fixtures ahead, depth in attack is going to be crucial. So all in all, it's shaping up to be a very Celtic kind of week. We've got the anticipation of a big league opener, transfer rumors flying around, new faces settling in, and the never-ending puzzle that is squad management in modern football. And while not every question has an answer just yet, like whether we'll go back in for Jacob Bream or if Simpson Pusey will land in Glasgow with an option to stay long-term, the pieces are moving. This is not the time for stopgaps or hopeful punts. Celtic can't afford to roll the dice on players who might settle or might not. That's why the pressure is so high on those making the calls behind the scenes. Every window brings its own challenges, but when the squad is already close to competing at a high level, the margin for error gets even smaller. You're not building from scratch. You're refining, sharpening, leveling up in key areas. That means the signings need to be deliberate, considered, and fully backed by the manager. There's been a fair bit of noise around the boardroom as well. The frustrations among fans are bubbling up again, as they tend to do when transfer deals drag on, or when it feels like the club is hesitating to meet asking prices. That gap between what's being offered and what's being asked, like we saw with Bream, can sometimes feel symbolic of a bigger issue. Supporters want ambition not just in words but in action. They want to see the club act like a team that belongs in the Champions League group stage, not just sneaking in through qualifiers and hoping for the best. What makes it trickier is that Celtic's model has always walked that tightrope between sustainable business and chasing sporting success. It's a difficult balance. You want to stay in the black, develop talent, sell smartly, but at the same time, you want to win now. That's why every loan deal without a buy option raises eyebrows. Why every player sold without a clear replacement lined up fuels suspicion. And to be fair, that skepticism doesn't come from nowhere. Celtic have had windows in the past where it felt like we were just a couple of key signings away from something special, and we didn't push the boat out. That memory lingers. It shapes how fans react now. So when someone like Simpson Pusey becomes a target, it's not just about whether he's a good player. It's about what kind of signal the club is sending. Is this a deal that positions us for the future? Is there a long-term plan? Is Brendan Rodgers getting what he needs, or just what's available? And those questions aren't unfair. They come from a place of care, a fan base desperate to see this team fulfill its full potential. What's encouraging is that the early signs from preseason suggest a group that's locked in. The tempo has been good, players look sharp, and the atmosphere inside Lennox Town is one of focus. There's still a bit of rust in places, as there always is after a summer break, but the core of the squad looks ready to hit the ground running. You've got experienced heads leading the way, younger players pushing for minutes, and new signings eager to prove themselves. That internal competition could be the biggest weapon Celtic have this season, especially with domestic challengers looking to close the gap and European nights on the horizon. The dynamic between the players who've been here and the ones arriving is going to be fascinating. You've got someone like Yamada, full of energy and promise, trying to break through and make an impact, and then you've got the likes of McGregor, Carter, Vickers, and Taylor, the heartbeat of the squad, who set the tone every day. That blend is what keeps a team hungry. No one can feel comfortable, and that's exactly how Brendan Rodgers wants it. Looking ahead to Sunday, the focus now turns to selection. Who starts, who makes the bench, who stakes an early claim for a regular spot. We'll likely see a strong 11, one that balances familiarity with freshness. The key will be to start fast, get the crowd involved early, put St. Mirren under pressure, and send a message. Flag Day is about celebration, but it's also about intent. What happens after the banner goes up matters just as much as the ceremony itself. With the home crowd behind them, a good performance could set the tone not just for the week, with Falkirk and a potential Champions League playoff looming, but for the season. A chance to remind everyone why Celtic are the team to beat. The champions are back and they've got a point to prove all over again. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. There's a rumble in the Scottish Premiership, and it's not the rain on the gorgy roofs. Whispers are growing louder that Hearts talisman Lawrence Shankland could be set for a stunning switch across the footballing divide to none other than Celtic Park. While nothing's been made official, murmurs from within both camps suggest that the prolific striker, who's been the heartbeat of the Jambos' attack, might be swapping maroon for green and white hoops. And if the talk proves true, it would mark one of the most eye-catching transfers in recent Scottish football memory. Shankland, 29, has been in scintillating form, netting goals with the sort of consistency that's hard to ignore. His leadership, presence, and knack for finding the net have made him a fan favorite at Tynecastle. But now, Celtic, ever hungry for proven firepower to bolster their title ambitions, are said to be keeping close tabs, with some insiders hinting the deal might already be all but done. Of course, this kind of move wouldn't go down quietly. Hearts fans would be gutted to lose their captain and talisman, especially to a league rival. But with Shankland's contract winding down and the lure of Champions League football possibly on the table, the appeal of Celtic Park could be strong enough to turn the striker's head. Sources close to the Celtic camp have been coy, neither confirming nor denying the interest, which has only added fuel to the fire. Meanwhile, Hearts brass have kept tight-lipped, though some in the corridors of Tynecastle are already bracing for a high-profile departure. Whether it's just smoke or there's real fire behind the rumor, one thing's for sure: this potential move has set tongues wagging from Edinburgh to Glasgow. And if Shankland does indeed don the green and white, it could be a game-changing twist in the Premiership title race. Watch this space. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.